Welcome to The Fight on Matrix Midwest with Randy Carricker and company.
Hi kids, welcome to the show. Great to have you with us here in The Fight. That is Andrew Rogers, I am Randy Carricker, and we're excited about the NCAA tournament getting underway.
It's the most wonderful time of the year. I think they made a song about that just for March Madness.
Yeah, they did.
They might just sing it in December, though.
In addition to that, the Blues might have their new leader, and we'll have the fight. I'll try to win another one. But let's get things started with our quick hits. And Andrew, Venezuela claimed their first World Baseball Classic title in Miami by beating the USA. The U.S. offense was not good in this game and not good in the tournament, and they lost to a team that grew up without all the technology and numbers that American kids have. Might it be better? Might it just be a little bit better for athletes to just play the game as they're growing up rather than have all the individual training, the concentration on things that aren't directly connected to winning baseball games like launch angle and exit velo and max effort? Might it just be good for young people like kids in Venezuela who probably didn't have TrackMan? Might it be better for them just to play the game?
This has me thinking back to our conversation with Rob Serfolio. And I asked him how he balances the statistics with the eye tests and how the Cardinals go about doing that. And he gave a pretty good answer to that on how it's not all about technology. It's not all about just the player and what makes him a good player just based on what we see. Because a lot of players, especially Dexter Fowler, former Cardinal, talks about it a lot, how it doesn't matter how hard you hit the baseball if it's on the ground to the shortstop. It's still an out. It's still a ground out in the scorebook. So I do think we need to get away from technology as a whole, saying like this is end all be all, this is going to tell us who the next star is, and we need to get back to just, hey, this guy can just flat out play.
And I think we could all agree that the most talented team, the team with the most good players in this tournament, was the Dominican Republic. The champions are Venezuela. These Latin American kids, I can guarantee you, they aren't going in and having $10,000 TrackMans that are telling them exactly how the pitch is coming out of their hand or what their launch angle is. So I think that's the way to do it. I think playing the game is probably the best way to get good at the game. All right, March Madness begins. The first four in Dayton. Howard advanced, as did Texas. And we've seen several first four teams move on lately. In 2021, UCLA went to the Final Four from the first four. Syracuse went to the Elite Eight in 2018. 2011, VCU went to the Final Four also. Do any of this year's first four have that sort of ability to go to an Elite Eight or even further?
I don't love the team that has to go face BYU. That's Texas. I don't love the matchup. I really don't like it. I probably used the strong term of hate the matchup for the 11 seed going to play Tennessee, who is just it's such a hard opponent. They play great defense. They also can score the basketball. So I'm leaning on no, we will not see that. But as we know, in March, anything can happen. And teams that come out of the first four have a little bit of an advantage because they have the speed of what March brings. They have the emotion. They've already battled that in one game. So now they have a little bit of momentum that, say, a team like Tennessee or BYU does not.
I think that is a big key. A team that played 2 days ago as opposed to a team that hasn't played for a week. And I think there is something to be said for the intensity of playing a play-in game where you're already starting. It's do or die. And the other team has to take about 10 minutes to decide, okay, well, we're here. We better start playing well. It's do or die. And things could go sideways for you in a hurry with that. I could absolutely, a team like Texas, there's no excuse for them to lose the way they're losing. And BYU does have some injuries, all right? They have Debancia, who's the best player in the country, but they are dealing with some injuries. I wouldn't be surprised if a team like Texas would move on past them. I don't know if they're an Elite Eight or Final Four team, but I do think that there will be a team here that wins a second round game.
I'll tell you what, I never thought that a VCU would make a run to the Final Four.
Yeah.
I never thought that Furman would beat a Virginia. That's the beauty of this tournament. So as much as I say I don't see it, both play-in teams could easily beat the 6th seed on deck.
And we have some great teams and matchups here in St. Louis. Tickets available at the Sports Commission website. 4 games on Friday: Santa Clara and Kentucky, Tennessee State and Iowa State, Queens, I know you love them, and Purdue, and then Mizzou and Miami. Of those 8 teams, who has the best chance to get to the Final Four, and who might be a Cinderella? I guess the only real Cinderella in here, well, Santa Clara would be one, but certainly so. Queens would be the main one.
And I'll start with my Cinderella. You mentioned how I like Queens, and let me tell you the quick story on why I like Queens. This is a team that is in their first year of eligibility in the tournament. They're also a school that's being absorbed by Elon next year. This school won't even exist anymore. And what we know about March is a story kind of gives you a leg up. If you're riding with a great story, you also have that leg. I think back to Loyola Chicago. When they had Sister Jean, she was the story. Loyola Chicago goes on a run. And you can kind of go down the list and attract different stories. USF, South Florida, this tournament, has a coach that his dad has never seen him play in the tournament, and they're playing in Buffalo. That's where he's from. His dad will get to watch him for the first time because he has dementia, and that's why he can't travel. Those stories carry with the team. That's why I like Queens.
And I kind of think Santa Clara would be the team. I think we can both agree. Iowa State's probably the team that has the best chance to get to the Final Four coming out of St. Louis.
Well, they're my winner of the whole thing.
Oh,
so they better get to the Final Four, Randy.
Yeah, and I don't know about Kentucky anymore. You know, without Coach Cal, the talent level isn't what it was. Mark Pope isn't Coach Cal. So I just wonder about Kentucky's consistent ability to win in the tournament.
I've seen them lose so many times in the round of 64. You cannot get me to trust the Wildcats.
And then what about Mizzou?
Also a team that loses a ton in the Final Four, in the round of 64.
It's a fun roller coaster ride, but man, you don't want to be on a roller coaster come March. All right, let's talk some Blues. Jeremy Rutherford had a great profile of Jake Neighbors and his leadership ability at the Athletic. Even though he's only 23, with the way he plays and the way he communicates, should Neighbors be the next captain? Here's a guy that at 8 years old was welcoming young players to his team when they would show up, and the coach would say, "This is Johnny, our new player," and Jake would walk up to the front and say, "Hey, Johnny, Jake Neighbors, welcome to the team." Awesome. Who else fits the bill on this team to wear a C? I think that it's by a pretty wide margin, it's Jake Neighbors.
Yeah, I look for a few things when I search for a captain. I look for the guy that, of course, can lead by example, the one that is vocal, the one that is poised under pressure. I think that gets overlooked every now and then. Respected by their teammates. That example you brought up there gives instant respect to you. And then off-ice leadership, somebody that's embedded in the community. And you can find all those qualities in Jake Neighbors. I think you can find those qualities in a Colton Parayko, too. That's just a little bit choppier of a situation just based on what happened at the trade deadline, but this is a guy that still wants to be in St. Louis, and he kind of fits those qualities too. I would say, though, that if Jake Neighbors is here, Colton Parayko is next on the list, and it's all the way down here.
And I would not dismiss Robert Thomas, because that's the first name that came up when Doug Armstrong, after the trade deadline, was asked about who's going to lead this team. The very first name he brought up was Robert Thomas. I think that Neighbors is a more consistent effort guy, and I think he's a more consistent player than Thomas, by the way. I think he's a more consistent player than Parayko. It's easier to lead if you are performing, and Neighbors performs at a pretty high level on a consistent basis.
And I don't want fans to read too much into what you said there. Just because Thomas is consistent in the points column, that doesn't make you automatically a consistent all-around player.
No, exactly right. Hey, baseball. Back in 2023, the Cardinals had 19 players on rosters in the World Baseball Classic. Among them, Genesis Cabrera, Giovanni Gallegos, Miles Michaelis, Andre Palante, Jojo Romero, Adam Wainwright, Guillermo Zuniga, and Ivan Herrera, along with Nolan Arenado, Tommy Edman, and Paul Goldschmidt, and outfielders Lars Nootbaar and Tyler O'Neill. That Cardinal team didn't get a great chance to develop chemistry and wound up losing 91 games. This year, the Cardinals had just 8 players on World Baseball Classic rosters and only one that has a chance to play in the majors this year, and that's Thomas Saggese, who played with Italy. I wonder if it's better to have fewer players away and more chance to build chemistry in camp, especially with a team as young as this one is.
There's something to be said for having superstars. The Royals, in this case, had superstars in the championship game that are also young. They can get away from, hey, you guys need to be in spring, because those guys know how to play together, and they have been playing together for years now and are successful. This Cardinals group, it made a lot of sense to keep a lot of guys at home, because you want to develop that chemistry. You also want to see who plays well with your team outside of the fact of, hey, he just plays well individually. I'm not saying, hey, Thomas Saggese, you did the wrong thing by going, or Gordon Graceffo, or anything like that. But I also think to Thomas Sajasi's example, if he would be in St. Louis and not on Team Italy, would he have a better chance at having more of a role coming back than he did by leaving to go to the WBC?
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about that. And then along the way, the Cardinals sign Urias, and Fermin gets his opportunity. You've got multiple infielders that I think as Sajasi returns that are in front of him, he'll have a chance before the regular season starts to make the team if indeed he fell behind. But I think he would be an absolute unequivocal lock if he had been there all spring. Those are your quick hits here in the fight. And later in the show, we've got a little risky business. We're going to put a bet together. All you need to do is join us, and then when we make our bet, you can make it as well. And we're going to build a parlay with some risky business. Coming up, we've got the fight, plus Matthew Rocchio previews City against the New England Revolution. Next, here in the fight.
Welcome to The Fight. In one corner, sitting by in the green room, and totally fitting to be in the green room, we have Megamind, the Sultan of Smarts, Randy Carricker, everybody.
Hey, Andrew. Always good to be with you for the fight.
And of course, we record this on St. Patrick's Day, which is why we make the claim of it being very fitting of you sitting in the green room. You look great, and you're on a bit of a winning streak right now. How are you feeling?
I feel good. I like winning.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. Winning is fun, right?
Yeah.
Losing is not. And we'll see if you can win again this week against our challenger. He's in the opposite corner. It's David. David, top of the day to you.
Top of the day to you, Andrew.
Hey, it's great to have you with us. Randy, say hello to David.
David, hello. Welcome to the show. Thanks for being a part of it. We do appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on the show.
Now, Randy, go away.
Okay.
We don't want to see him, David. It's just you and me. You and me. And, you know, he's been talking about it a lot. He likes that belt. He might cuddle with the belt, late at night, and all warm and fuzzy. The belt makes him warm and fuzzy, David. I want you to steal it away from him today. Can you do that?
Absolutely.
I love the confidence. Come on, here we go. And you might sense a theme with these questions too. Question number 1, which team made history by becoming the first ever number 16 seed to defeat a number 1 seed in the tournament? Is that team UMBC, Fairleigh Dickinson, or Mercer?
That is UMBC. They beat Virginia. I believe the score was 76-56. It was a 20-point game.
Question number 2. Which state has produced the most NCAA men's basketball championship winning teams? Boy, that's a mouthful. Let me say that again. Which state has produced the most NCAA men's basketball championship winning teams? Is that state California, North Carolina, or Kentucky?
I will go with California.
Question number 3. Which city has hosted the most NCAA tournament Final Fours and is also the host of this year's Final Four? Is that Houston, Indianapolis, or Atlanta?
Indianapolis.
And question number 4. Only one 15 seed has ever made the Elite Eight. Who is that team? Is it Oral Roberts, Florida Gulf Coast, or St. Peter's?
St. Peter's.
And the tiebreaker, just in case, David. In what year did March Madness first feature a 68-team field? I'm looking for the closest two here. What year did they first feature a 68-team field?
I'm going to take a shot in the dark and say 2012.
2012. Thank you, David. Okay, as we have Tyler, radio to Randy to get his earpiece back in. How are you feeling now that you've heard the questions?
Questions were fairly easy. The tiebreaker is going to be the real deciding factor.
Wow, okay, I guess shot at me. Questions were very easy today, Randy. Can you hear us?
I can hear you, yes.
All right, let's see if they're easy for you as well. You ready?
Ready.
Which team made history by becoming the first ever number 16 seed to defeat a number 1 seed in the tournament?
I believe that was the Golden Retrievers of UMBC, Baltimore, Maryland County. Maryland, Baltimore County, UMBC, I'm going to go with.
Do you know, can you think back and give the score of that game? Do you remember that at all?
I don't remember the score now.
No. David came out here firing with the score, too.
Oh, good.
So we'll see if you get that answer right in a few moments. Which state, Randy, number 2, which state has produced the most NCAA men's basketball championship winning teams? I'll read that again. Which state has produced the most NCAA men's basketball championship winning teams?
I would think UCLA's 11, and then San Francisco won a couple with Bill Russell. I would think that it would probably be California.
Question number 3. Which city has hosted the most NCAA tournament Final Fours and is also the host of this year's Final Four?
That would be Indianapolis, I believe.
And question number
Indiana.
4. Oh, go ahead. You still.
Yeah, what city or state? In Indianapolis, Indiana.
Yes, it was city, so you had it right the first time. Okay,
Good.
Question number 4. Only one 15 seed has ever made the Elite Eight. Who is that team?
That would be the Peacocks of St. Peter's a few years ago with less than 2,000 students.
And Randy, the tiebreaker, just in case. In what year did March Madness first feature a 68-team field? First feature a 68-team field.
I'm just going to, I'll go with 2004.
2004.
Yeah.
Thank you, Randy. All right, fellas, let's go back through the questions and see who our winner is today. Randy, did you think those questions were too easy?
No.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Even if you thought
Sorry.
it, thanks for siding with me.
Okay.
David, take notes. All right, here we go.
Will do.
Let's go through this. Question number 1. Which team made history by becoming the first ever number 16 seed to defeat a number 1 seed? You both said the Golden Retrievers, and of course, you both are correct. UMBC. David, what was the score again?
I said it was 76-56. I remember it being a 20-point game.
Tyler said 74-54, so you were close.
1 by 20, yep.
You were close, so we're docking a half a point for that since you got it wrong. All
Yeah.
right, so it's 1 to a half a point. No, I'm just kidding. 1 to 1. Which state has produced the most NCAA men's basketball championship winning teams? You both said California. You both are correct. And it is actually closer than you think. North Carolina, pretty close with Duke and UNC being factored in there.
And NC State.
And NC State, can't forget about them. Which city has hosted the most NCAA tournament Final Fours and is also the host of this year's Final Four? You both said Indianapolis. You both are correct. So we go to question 4. Only one 15 seed has ever made the Elite Eight. Who is that team? You both said St. Peter's, and you both are correct. So we are tied up at 4-4, and we go to the tiebreaker question. And that was, in what year did March Madness first feature a 68-team field? David, you said 2012. Randy, you said 2004. And the winner of today's fight is David. David gets it closer. It was 2011 that the field first added the first 4 teams in. So, Randy, David gets you 4.5 to 4 today, and that is the toughest way to go down when you get all the questions right.
Great job.
Thank you so much. It was a tough bout, for sure.
Oh, yeah, it was, definitely. Good job, David.
At least the battle was tough in David's eyes, and the questions, I guess, not so much. David, any last words now that you're taking home the belt today?
Best of luck next time. I just got to say it helps working in college athletics. I hear a lot.
Oh, so he feels like he's got the leg up because of that. David, great job today. Randy, any final words?
Congratulations, David. Great job, and way to go get him.
Thank you so much.
David, we appreciate you playing today. Randy, he got you just by the tiebreaker, but that's no fault of yours, really, because the tiebreaker is supposed to be the most impossible question out there. So David wins today 5-4 via the tiebreaker, and that is the fight.
And if you would like to participate in the fight, just go to matrixmidwest.com, fill out the form, and we'll get in touch with you. Or you can just send an email to thefight@matrixmidwest.com, and hopefully you'll be able to play against me. We record at about noon on Tuesdays and air, of course, on our Wednesday show. This is usually the time that we visit with Jen Cease from St. Louis City SC. She's out. Our buddy Matthew Rocchio, my co-host at STL Sports Central, is with us. You can watch us on YouTube every day at 3. And we're getting ready for MLS action, St. Louis City SC against the New England Revolution. How'd you do in the fight, by the way?
I would have gotten 3 or 4 right. I think I had a guess on one of the 4. It was a solid bout of NCAA trivia tournament trivia. Good job on that one.
Oh,
thank you. See, Matthew, you hyped me up too. You know the drill. You know where you're
I know
sitting,
the struggle.
right?
I know the struggle. Yeah, I know.
Yep.
Firsthand.
And you'll be able to hear Matthew with all of his great soccer analysis on STL Sports Central. And last week he was in for Jen, and you'll hear him a lot on Y98. Matthew, only 3 winless teams in the league. St. Louis is one of them. Columbus and Philly. How much of a drag is that on the franchise at the moment?
It's a big drag. Casual fans don't want to hear the nitty gritty. The team's improving. They're building a new system. They're getting better every game a little bit better. Casual fans don't want to hear that, and that's who's going to make up the majority of the people in the stands. And so it's a drag right now. Fans are having a rough time with it right now. But I will say, Yohan DeMay has been very consistent that they are building things. Slowly they are progressing. The defense is a lot better than they thought it was going to be. The buildup through the midfield is a lot better than they thought it was going to be. They just didn't expect it to be this much of a problem and actually scoring the ball in the final third.
So as this team searches for its first win, how much margin for error do they really have?
It's very slim, and I think the LAFC game is a great example because they outplayed LAFC. They're one of the best teams, if not the best team in the league, for the first 72 minutes of that game. And then Daniel Edelman just overcooks a pass a little bit, and it's 1-0. 7-8 minutes later, Marcel Hartl does the exact same thing in the midfield, and all of a sudden it's 2-0, and you're pretty much out of the game because you scored 1 goal the entire year. It's not like you're going to score 2 against a team that has literally not let up a single goal this entire season. So the margin of error is almost nothing right now because they can't put the ball in the back of the net. They can create fine, but they just can't score, and that unfortunately is a large part of the game.
Matthew, New England got their first win last week. What does that matchup look like this weekend?
It's such an odd game because New England they're also putting in a new system under first-year head coach Mirko Mitrovic, and so they're also really slow to start this year. They had 1 goal going into their matchup against Cincinnati. They're down 1-0 in the 25th minute, and then you just saw their first goal right there. They would go on to score 6 unanswered in that game. Again, 1 goal in their first 2 games, 6 in another game. And, they didn't create a lot of really good chances. They just scored some insane goals throughout this entire game against Cincinnati. So it's kind of hard to get a gauge on what the Revolution actually are at this point. But against a good City defense, it seems like it's going to be a low-scoring game at Energizer Park.
Here's my squirrel brain for everybody. That celebration done there on that goal by New England, I don't really get it. I don't know if you just saw that one, Matthew. I don't understand that one.
I get it when the player's about to have a kid, and it's usually like a fun joke there. But yeah, it's just a thing. Players stick the ball under their belly. I don't get it either.
It's a little bizarre. Okay, what areas of City's game do you think are closest to clicking for this group right now?
It's the defense. I mean, they're out there with 2 starters still on the bench in Mamadou Mbake and Falou Fall, and that the defense is the best part of the team right now. Dante Polvara had to switch positions from being a midfielder his entire life to playing as a center back. He's been one of the best players in the game. Hazy Orozco was playing left outside back as a defender last year. This year he's playing right center back, and he's even better than he was last year. So the defense being as good as it has been, with players playing out of position or switching positions, and the starters not being in yet, the projected starters, I should say, not being in yet, that has undoubtedly been the biggest surprise so far for St. Louis City.
In the last line of defense, Berkey signed that extension late last season. How frustrated is he that the team just doesn't score at all?
Yeah, he's going to be ticked off, and he, he's also going to be bothered when his defense, while playing a good game, still lets a ball right through their legs that it's really hard to track. That's Timo Baumgartel on one of the goals earlier. But, he's always critical of his defense. He's always critical of his play as well. And I have a feeling that when he goes back and watches those 2 goals against LAFC, despite the fact that there is a lot of traffic in front of him, he's going to want both those back because he usually doesn't let up a lot of goals from outside of the box. And that's really all LAFC was getting in that game. Nonetheless, they found a way to put 2 away.
Matthew, who are a couple of players you think are on the verge of a breakout performance that could really help speed things up?
That's a tricky one, but I think, they're not on the verge, but certainly if Conrad Vollum or Rafael Santos pick up their play in the wingback spots, that's going to be a big thing for City. It's hard to say they're on the verge, though, because they've really struggled this season. They're not connecting on crosses. They're not impacting the game in the box, which is really worrisome. Conrad Vollum actually had 6 touches in LAFC's box over this past game, and he was ineffective in every single one of them, and that's a little worrisome. I would say Marcel Hartl is easily the best player on this team. He had a good game, but he failed to capitalize on the opportunities that were right there for him. If he continues to up his game, if he gets a little bit more help, he could really break out. And I'll just go to, players off the bench. Sergio Cordova, the new striker, has been dialing in. He only really had 1 full week of practice, or only like 1 practice before his first game. Then he had like a week full of practice for his second game last week. And now he's actually been able to dial in. I would expect to see Sergio Cordova start this weekend, and he could really be the player that opens up the City attack.
St. Louis City SC and New England Saturday on Y98. Meanwhile, Matthew has a ton of great analysis on socials. How can people follow you on the socials?
Follow me at ROCCSTL, Rock STL with 2 C's. And yeah, putting out a lot of stuff for the Billikens tournament run coming up, and also for St. Louis City as they hope to actually start, getting some points.
You're the best. Thank you, Matthew. Talk to you later.
Thank you, guys.
See you, man.
Yeah. Matthew Rocchio, and of course you can hear he and I. Just go to YouTube and go to STL Sports Central anytime, and we're on live at 3 o'clock every weekday. Coming up in the fight, we're looking forward to our favorite NCAA tournament players ever in the list. March Madness is officially here, and before we get into the bulk of the action, we give you our favorite March Madness players ever. And my number 3 is about emotion, Andrew. Way back before Gonzaga was a regular in the NCAA tournament, back in 2006, they had a Player of the Year quality guy named Adam Morrison, nicknamed The Stash. And to start that 06 tournament against Xavier, Morrison led a 79-75 win in the first round. Then he led the Zags to a 90-80 win over Indiana, but against UCLA in round 3, as it became apparent that Gonzaga was going to fall to UCLA in the waning moments. There it is. Morrison was overcome with emotion, collapsed to the floor, and seeing the pure emotion of a guy who so badly wanted to win and left everything on the floor was something I appreciated and embraced. A lot of people didn't want that. They want players to be robots and not show emotion, and they thought that it was terrible that he cried because it was going to be his last college game. It's supposed to hurt to lose. Right. And Morrison was pretty darn good, too. He was the 3rd pick in the NBA draft and had an okay few seasons in the league.
How about the stones of that photographer, too, at half court?
Yeah.
You get, like, almost right up in Morrison's face there. Like, that takes a lot of guts to do that when the player is at his most vulnerable. But, looking at him in terms of just the baggy jersey, like, I know it's everything nowadays is so tight-fitting, but you see the baggy jersey, you see the hair. It's a little bit like he's wearing a wig. You mentioned the mustache. Does he not give off Chad Powers vibes?
Oh, that's a great call. He really does. That's a great call. Yeah.
I don't know if this is a real person, Randy.
Maybe he was 30. That could be.
Maybe he was actually an NBA player in disguise throughout the entire tournament.
Yeah, or maybe he had led his team to a previous team to a near championship, and he wanted to take one more shot. So his dad, the makeup artist, lost his makeup because he used it. Adam Morrison used the makeup to look like a college player.
Yeah, great job. Great job.
Good
there.
job.
All right, my number 3. Buddy Hield.
Ooh.
Delivered one of the most electric NCAA tournament runs of the 21st century in 2016. and he played for the Oklahoma Sooners, and he took them all the way to the Final Four. He was the consensus National Player of the Year. He averaged 25 points per game during the tournament. He had performances of 27, 36, 17, and none bigger than his 37-point takeover against Oregon. They were the #1 seed in that tournament, and that punched Oklahoma's ticket to the Final Four. Night after night, Hield showcased deep shooting range, confidence in big moments, and the ability to just completely take over games. He's just one of March Madness's most memorable individual performers out there.
And he's had a good but not great NBA career. After this tournament, I thought he was going to be an absolute NBA stud. I mean, I was thinking Steph Curry quality, but he hasn't been that, although he did get a chance to play with Steph for a while. But man, was he dominant in this tournament.
He could just do everything. He could shoot the three. He could lead the offense. He could create for himself. I mean, that's exactly why it had you saying this guy is going to be a superstar in the league, because the NBA is typically hey, if you can be good in one-on-one play, you're going to be a great NBA player. You're right, though. He just really hasn't found his game yet, and it might even be too late to find it in the NBA.
Yeah, I think so. I think at best, he's a Robin to somebody else's Batman, right? He's never going to be Batman. All right, my #2, freshman Carmelo Anthony. He was remarkable for Syracuse in 2003. He just kept getting better. The first 5 games, 17 against Manhattan, 13 against Oklahoma State, 18 against Auburn, 20 against Oklahoma, then 31 against Texas in the national semifinal, and another 20 against Kansas in the championship game. Carmelo averaged more than 20 points and 10 rebounds during the tournament as a freshman against the best competition college basketball had to offer. And with that, Anthony was named the NCAA tournament's most outstanding player. Unfortunately for him, he came out in a year and a draft that LeBron James captivated the nation as a senior in high school, and Darko Milicic captivated the basketball-watching world from abroad. So Anthony went 3rd ahead of Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade, one of the great drafts in the history of the NBA. And of course, Anthony won a gold medal, and he made the Basketball Hall of Fame.
And what a steal for getting him at number 3
3,
overall.
yeah.
I mean, this is a guy that I mentioned how Buddy Hield took over games. That was Carmelo Anthony. And the beauty of Anthony doing it was the point that you made of him being a freshman. He's one of the few freshmen that have ever won most outstanding tournament player. I don't even know if, before the one and dones, right? Before that, I don't know if it was more than 3 at the time when Carmelo was named most outstanding player. I think he was the 3rd to ever do it.
Yeah, and here's another thing about him. He is so gifted offensively that he scored a ton of points, and he could win games just with his offensive prowess. He never really had to work hard on defense, even in the NBA, and I think that wound up hurting him. His lack of defense, and it was because he was so good offensively, he really didn't have to try until he got to the NBA. I think the lack of effort on defense really hurt him.
My #2, Randy, Kemba Walker's step back. Ooh. Okay, so that was recreated by me so many times in my driveway. He has to be on my list. The author of one of the most unforgettable March Madness runs ever in 2011. UConn was a mediocre 9-9 Big East team. And after losing 4 of their last 5 regular season games, he ignited a historic run, winning 5 games in 5 days at the Big East tournament. They took down 4 ranked teams, got their revenge against Louisville in the Big East title game after being swept by them earlier in the season, and that momentum carried into the NCAA tournament. He got the name Cardiac Kemba and delivered moment after moment, leading UConn past Cincinnati, a Kawhi Leonard-led San Diego State squad, a Derek Williams-powered Arizona Wildcats team, and a loaded Kentucky group in the Final Four before finishing it off against Butler. He truly carried one of the most improbable championship journeys the sport has ever seen.
And I don't know that we've ever had a tournament where somebody has shot better, maybe as good, but when you talk about game after game after game, and start with, like you said, the Big East tournament, and then just kept going, he just didn't miss in that tournament, did he?
And that's why I favor teams that are hot. Because when you get a player like that gets hot at the right time, you can do damage whether you're a 7 seed. And what was UConn in this tournament? Were they a 7 when they went the whole way? Or if you're a 1 seed, it doesn't matter. If you have a player that is playing well at the right time of year, sign me up to have you go the distance.
All right, my number one, the most dominant player I ever saw in the NCAA tournament, and I didn't see Lou Alcindor, but for me it was Bill Walton in 1973. His bookends, a 28-point round one win against Arizona State, and spectacular here in St. Louis against Memphis State. The middle games, not great, but Walton got banged up early in the second round against San Francisco and scored only 9. Then in the national semifinals, still banged up, he scored 14 against Bob Knight's Indiana Hoosiers, whose only focus was in stopping the Big Redhead. But in the finals, the greatest performance in finals history, 21 of 22 from the floor at the old arena, 44 points, 13 rebounds, and a national championship win. Man, was he great to watch. Bill Walton down the stretch of the UCLA dynasty, the best that I've ever seen in an NCAA tournament.
44 points in the title game.
21 of 22 from the floor.
Oh my goodness. You know what I love about watching old highlights too is that you don't see a three-point line.
No.
Everything is made, the money is made on the inside, and that's where Bill Walton made his money. And golly, 21 of 22. The fact that you can, contested, look at this, contested. Good pass, by the way, right there. Good vision all around, just a great overall player. But a guy doing that one-on-one, you're most likely not making a post move to the rim. You're spin around jumpers. And he made 21 of 22? That's insane.
Pretty impressive.
All right, my number one has to be Jimmer Fredette.
Oh, yeah, good call.
I talked about recreating Kemba's step back in my driveway. My high school coaches hated me for recreating Jimmer on game days. Also a 2011 tournament run. He pretty much single-handedly led BYU to a number 3 seed and a Sweet 16 appearance, averaging over 32 points a game. He had 32 points against Wofford. He had 34 against Gonzaga. He had 32 against Florida. I think they would have gone a lot further, too, if big man Brandon Davies didn't get suspended for violating the university's honor code. I bet you can guess what he did.
I think I know.
Beside the point, we're talking about Jimmer here. He just did things no other player could do. And that was basically burying threes from the logo consistently. Will never get old.
Unreal. Unreal.
The line, here comes Jimmer, long range, whoa. That's all you need to hear because that's the player he was all season. It wasn't just in this moment where, he hit the occasional one from about 50 feet away. No, that's what he shot all year for BYU, and he just kept making those throughout the tournament.
And doesn't it make you wonder why a guy can do that for a whole season in college basketball? And I get that people are bigger, stronger, faster, and really are great defensively in the NBA. But nobody defends out there. And when he came out of college, nobody was defending out there. I wonder why he never hit it big in the NBA.
I think my personal thought here is either it was coaching saying you're not doing that here. We're not having you do that here. So he got away from his game, 1. Or 2, he gets put on a team and he's not the star of that team. In the NBA, you have already a guy there that leads every charge. And so if he's paired up with, say, a LeBron James, and he wasn't, but for the example here, if he's paired up with LeBron, well, LeBron, you mentioned Batman to Robin. Jimmer Fredette's now a Robin. He's not feeling comfortable taking that 3.
All right, if I'm going to pick one for this year, I'm going with A.J. Dispenza from BYU. That's my guy.
I think that's a great call. I think, is it Donovan? Is it Atwell? Donovan Williams? See, now I'm getting my names mixed up here. It's Texas Tech's best 3-point shooter. He's taken over for J.T. Toppin. Watch out for him. I know it's Donovan. Just look for that name. You'll find it.
All right. It's going to be a fun tournament, and we're looking forward to it. Coming up next, we might even take a little look at that with our parlay. We're going to build a parlay with some risky business next year in The Fight. Hey guys, I was just talking to my primary doctor about heart health and how I have gotten so much better with my heart health because of the doctors at St. Luke's. And when you go to St. Luke's, if you have any problems at all, any pain in your chest or any frustrations or anything that is causing a burning, they're going to say, hey, we're going to put you on a stress test and make sure that everything's okay. And for the most part, with guys our age, everything is okay. But if there's something wrong, the perfect people to fix you are the folks at St. Luke's. They have great cardiologists, they have unbelievable surgeons, and amazing equipment, including that T-Mini device that allows them to really explore and do a great job of, if you need a bypass, they'll take care of it for you. They really are amazing at St. Luke's with everything that they do, from diagnosing a heart problem to fixing a heart problem to the rehab for a heart problem, whether it's inpatient or outpatient. They do a fantastic job at every phase of heart health. And hey, the heart is the biggest killer in America. So if you have any problems with your heart, if you feel any problems with your heart, call St. Luke's at 314-205-6801 or find them on the web and find a doctor there at stlukes-stl.com. All right, time for us to build a little parlay, and we're going to take a look at the NCAA tournament. Andrew just said he's going to bet on college basketball until he can't anymore. All right, the last game of the first round is right here in St. Louis, and it's a team from right here in Missouri. It's your Missouri Tigers taking on Miami, and Miami is a 1.5 favorite in this game. I don't agree with that because I'm going to bet with some emotion here. So I'm going to take Mizzou plus 110 on the money line to knock off the Hurricanes on Friday night.
It's always better to bet with your heart than your brain.
Oh, no doubt about it. Yeah, always.
And speaking of betting with your heart, Randy, let's keep that trend going with our friends in town. St. Louis University against Georgia. And what really stands out to me is SLU is a 2.5-point underdog, but they're the favorite as a 2.5-point underdog. So I am going with SLU on the money line as well. This is a group that if they shoot well, and I know it's an if, and there's an if in everything, but if they shoot well, they'll win this game because Georgia is too inconsistent defensively. Offensively, they're great, but SLU can match them up 1-for-1 if they shoot the basketball well.
Check out that over-under.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Woo,
right?
169.
That right there shows you everything you need to know, right? With like Houston, 138 here, Kennesaw State, Gonzaga, 154, 169.5.
Fun. All right. So if we put $100 on this one and then we win, which we will, we are going to come up with a $224 payout. Pretty good deal.
Like
All
that.
you have to do is put that one down.
Go
All
Missouri.
right. Coming up, we've got Take It or Leave It. We've got Story Time with Uncle Randy, and we've got Today in Sports History in the Fight. All right, time for Take It or Leave It. And on The Rich Eisen Show, Hall of Famer Rod Woodson, who played for the Steelers, said of Aaron Rodgers, quote, listen, if he's going to play, say he's going to play. He's going to come back, and the team shouldn't wait for Aaron Rodgers. They need to move forward. So, Andrew, take it or leave it. The Steelers should sign Kirk Cousins so those guys are in place before the offseason program starts.
I think you should just sign Kirk Cousins anyway.
Ah.
Whether this is about, hey, having guys ready to go or not and just knowing who your quarterback is, I think Kirk Cousins is a better quarterback at this stage in his career than Aaron Rodgers
Agreed.
is.
That's why I'm taking it too.
This is a pretty easy one for me, and I think the Steelers are doing themselves a disservice by waiting out Aaron Rodgers.
Here's the thing. Rodgers knows McCarthy's system. He doesn't really need to be in.
And that is why the
offseason
Steelers
program.
are also keeping a close eye on his status.
Yeah.
Okay, Randy, mine for you is this. So, Matt Leinart, whose number 11 jersey was retired by USC, says the school has asked him to unretire his jersey for recruits who want it. Leinart said he'll never agree to that. Take it or leave it. If a player won't come to your college over a number, that player isn't worth it.
I am going to leave that. And the reason I leave it is because one of the most famous numbers in college football is at USC. It's number 55. It's a linebacker number worn by people like Junior Seau and Chris Claiborne and many others. And that is a big thing for linebackers to come there and get number 55. But if you want the number to be available for other players, don't retire it.
Okay.
And then don't ask a player to come and say, I need that number. Don't ask Matt Leinart to unretire it. It's not his fault. He didn't ask for the number to be retired.
I'm happy you said it that way, because the second half of your answer is why I also leave this, Randy, because I don't think college football players should have their jerseys retired at all. There's not enough numbers out there with how big a team is for you to retire college numbers. And plus, yes, they did well and did great things in college, but everybody knows that where you make your money, what everybody remembers your legacy It's in the pros.
Yep.
It's not in college. No, I don't think any college player should have their jersey retired.
Yep. All right, let's move on now to story time with Uncle Randy. It's a fun element. We're going to spin a wheel. We're going to come up with a decade. We're going to come up with a sport. We're going to come up with a quick story for you. And here we go with our decade, and it is the 1980s. All right, and then we've got a sport from the 1980s. I was around, you know. So
I was not.
1980s
Get to
basketball or hockey?
I think we're stopping at basketball.
Oh, there we go. Okay, 1980s basketball it is. So 1988, I and my buddy Scott Adamak, we go to the Cardinals opening day in Cincinnati. And it was the same day as the NCAA basketball championship between Oklahoma and KU. And there was a famous ice cream place in the book, A Season on the Brink, that John Feinstein wrote about Bob Knight. And it was in Indiana. And so, and he talked about how Knight had this voracious appetite for ice cream. And he went to this restaurant all the time and had just huge, giant, like dinners of ice cream. So Scotty and I, on the way back home from opening day, stop in Indiana at this ice cream restaurant that Bobby Knight frequents. And we watch KU and Oklahoma on the screen in this place. And I order, in honor of Bobby Knight, a huge, giant bowl of ice cream as I watch the game.
Good on you.
1988. It was a lot of fun.
That's all you have to do, right?
Yeah.
Put yourself in the spot, in the place of the man himself.
Yep. All right. So that is story time. And now it's time for this date in sports history. After acquiring Jesse Orosco, who helped them win the 1986 World Series from the Orioles in a December trade, the Mets sent Orosco to the Cardinals in exchange for utility player Joe McEwing. Well, now we hated these Mets and we hated Jesse Orosco, and I don't think that he was ever really a beloved player here. But Tony La Russa, he loved having guys with a winning history, and so they did it. I don't think they should have given up Joe McEwing for Jesse Orosco, but they did, and he wound up becoming actually a pretty good immaculate grid guy.
Were you eating ice cream on this trade day as well?
I was not. This was in spring training. It was right towards the end of spring training. I may or may not have had ice cream on that day.
I was going to say, as you can see, ice cream is still on the mind. You should not have brought up ice cream. That is my favorite food.
Oh.
Ice cream, of all things.
You and Bobby Knight.
Ice cream. Mm-hmm.
There you go. Hey, don't forget the Battlehawks getting started, and Nelly and the St. Lunatics are going to perform at halftime of the Battlehawks opener on March 28th against the DC Defenders. Tickets available at UFL Battlehawks, so that'll be fun. And of course, NCAA tournament this weekend is going to be awesome, and we're really looking forward to that.
Have you filled out your bracket yet?
I have not. No, I'm a late bracket filler outer this week.
I am too, and the reason for that is I think those playing games can really shake things up. So I like to see how those teams fare before I start picking the round of 64.
Yep. And as the Blues go to Calgary, down 7 points in a playoff spot. The Blues are not making the playoffs. Much better chance to finish with the second worst record in the league. Lose to Calgary, lose to Vancouver on this trip. You're headed towards the first pick in the draft.
Let's go. Come on.
All right. You can always find us at matrixmidwest.com. You can find us on the Matrix Midwest app. We had the fight today and I lost. You can beat me in the fight. Just send us an email at thefight@matrixmidwest.com if you would like to participate in the fight, or just use the drop-down menu from the Fight with Character and Company at matrixmidwest.com. Great job by you, sir.
Great job by you.
And as always, a great job by our outstanding director, Tyler Klaus. For Andrew and Tyler, I'm Randy. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time here in The Fight.